Hey, it's Derek with Trilogy Talk. Welcome to episode 2. Notice my colleagues aren't here yet. We'll just wait a minute. There you are. It's about time. Hey guys, this is Scott with Trilogy Talk. Welcome to episode 2. Notice the young buck's still not here either. He's the one running late. So let's just hang out for a moment with him. So, hey guys. Hey, it's Dallas. Welcome to Trilogy Talk. Let's get started with episode 2. Hey guys, welcome again to Trilogy Talk, episode 2. Hope you guys all enjoyed the first episode. Seems like we got some pretty good feedback and the views exceeded my expectations to at least get started. So I'm good with that. Thanks to everybody who shared and gave me some kind of comments or feedback, whether it was to me, to Derek, or to Dallas. And on that note, once again, I have Dallas and Derek here with me. So they're going to be my weekly co-hosts. Next week, we'll have 2 new people next week. So we'll talk about that going to next week. Leave that surprise. Dallas is going back off to school here on Sunday, so we're going to lose him for a while. And Derek has just got a lot of things going on in his life that it's going to be easier next week if he's not here. So, but that's part of the design. Part of the design isn't that I have to have the same co-host every week. However, you're not losing me. So if you like me, great. If you don't like me, there's nothing I can do about that. So, but all right, guys. You guys have a good week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a lot of disc golf.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I still haven't played in 2019. My bag, matter of fact, is still sitting in the garage from when Bo Seigen got that ace at Prairie Center Glow. I was just looking at it this morning. So where'd you play this week?
I played Prairie Center a lot. Went down to Emporia twice. Rosedale, Heritage. The usual.
Sounds rough.
He's got a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah.
I played...
Same amount as me?
Yep, nowhere.
How's the Belton course? Have you heard?
I believe they got one more hole done, and they're working on cutting out part of another one, so it's coming along. I haven't got to go out there, so...
Yeah, he had a league out there last week, and it just didn't work out, and now we're getting rain today and tomorrow, so I figure
I feel like I might have got one round in. Out of rain more, but... I don't even remember.
Yeah, you've had a long week, a busy week, a lot of changes. But speaking of courses, we're going to kind of jump in today, and we're going to talk about courses, and we'll start out with some just simple things of, how many courses have you played? So, Dallas, how many courses do you think you've played in your life? Just a guess.
A guess?
Nobody's documenting it behind you to prove you whether you're right or wrong. So,
I mean, I'm probably in the 30s, probably. I've played all the Kansas City courses.
All of them?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
If not, we know where he's going after this.
Yeah, all the Emporia courses. I've played some out in Colorado.
Did you play Olpey?
I did for GBO.
Did you play Clover?
I did.
Okay.
Shot my highest red round.
Very nice. What was that?
It was like 990 something.
Oh yeah, you broke that since then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I played throughout the Midwest. Yeah, I'll say 30 probably.
Okay. You get a few more next year. You're talking about when you go do some traveling. So.
Yep.
So what do you think, Derek? You travel a lot. You hit a lot of little courses when you travel with the kids.
Yeah, I don't count, but we vacation for 7 days every summer, and we play pretty much every morning at a different course. So it just depends what state we're in. I've played Nebraska, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Missouri, obviously, Colorado. I don't even remember. Played in the Bahamas, obviously.
Yeah. International.
I would say it's probably close to 60 courses, maybe.
Okay. So I've been playing quite a bit longer, I guess, than both of you guys. So I have quite a few more courses, but I think probably somewhere around 300 courses with Switzerland, France, Bahamas, Scotland. So I've got a few international in there. But yeah, I mean, I don't play nearly as much. It used to be a lot like you do when you go on trips, just kind of hit some along the way and now, even when I travel to a tournament, so like come February when I travel to Vegas, it's a 20-hour drive, and I just want to get there. And where it used to be, I would plan a whole day just to hit 2 or 3 courses on the way to one of those big trips, and now I just want to get there. And even worse, when it's over, like I just want to get back.
Well, we get up like on vacation. My son and I will get up at like 7 a.m. when the girls are sleeping, and we'll go out and hit a course. Be back by 9:30 or whatever, and they're just getting out of bed, rolling out of bed, and we've put a course in already. And then we go out and do family stuff like you're supposed to on vacation. And
so, what do you think your favorite course is out of all the courses that you've played? Or favorites, if you can't choose one.
I honestly always loved Swope before they pulled it, but that may be because it's the first course I ever played. It's the first place I ever got an ace, and
Little sentimental value.
Yeah, a little sentimental value, but probably one of the most enjoyable. I actually loved Branson Trails. It took us, I think it took us 5 hours to play it.
That's not Treehouse, right? That's the new one?
No, that's the new one.
Okay.
But man, it's a beautiful course. All kinds of elevation changes and tons of trees, and somehow I actually shot well there, or well for me. So I really liked that course. But I've played a lot of them out of town. Unfortunately, I don't even remember them. But I don't remember the names of them. But I loved them when I played them.
Is there any feature to like a course that you play that, say, even the ones you don't remember specifically, but you remember like a feature? Like I think of it wasn't necessarily one of my favorite courses, but I played a course in outside of Tampa Bay. It's near the airport. I can't remember the name of the course, but it was just palm trees everywhere. So like as I was playing through the course, it didn't matter. Negative was the airplanes were flying over me the whole time, but there was palm trees and sand, and like there was a visual aspect of that course. That the course itself was okay. I liked it, but I really enjoyed that atmosphere. Is there a course or a feature to a course that makes you think, what, I like this course?
I think it's different for every course. Sometimes for me, it could be very photographic course. There's just tons of beauty to it, like you said, things that you just can't walk by without snapping a picture of it. It could be a couple standout signature style holes that make it what it is for me. As far as what I enjoy, I just like it to be a mix. I don't want a bunch of back and forth, straightforward, which is ironic because that's kind of what Swope was. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that's more probably a sentimental value. That course is, but I like to see a mix of things. I like to see a tunnel shot, then all of a sudden I've got a wide open dog leg, and just something. It changes every single hole. A mix, good design, and I think that's what makes it fun for me.
What about you, Dallas? What's your favorite?
No. I really like Beaver Ranch up in Colorado.
Okay.
That was a fun one. But I would have to go with probably the Beast in Waco. I got to play that a couple times.
I played it before it was the Beast. So I've seen the Beast, but I have seen the camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to both courses there, but yeah, they weren't combined like they are to make the Beast. So
the Beast it's something else. So I'm super excited to go down and play it.
Okay. Well, you're a big arm thrower, I guess. So
yeah.
Does that add to what makes you enjoy a course more? Or what are some of the features for you that stand out? Like, oh man, I got to go back.
I like a good mix of like out in the woods, open shots, like throwing out of the woods, throwing into the woods. I think it just makes a course tougher. And it gives every like skill set a chance, I feel like. Because like if I don't like going out to a course just knowing I'm going to be throwing the same like enforcer over and over and over again, just on big hyzers open. But like I also want to like be able to go into the woods and not just be able to throw like mid ranges and putters, and like just a good balance, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love around when you leave and you say, "Oh man, I threw like 17 discs there."
Yeah.
Not that it happens very often, but I can't stand when I walk away and I'm like, "You could have come here with 3 discs."
Yeah.
For me, it's I'll talk about it here in a little bit more in a second, but it's aesthetics are a big thing, but it's simple course design for me. Like if I can walk away from a course, if I'm on the 3rd hole and the 3rd, 4th, 5th hole, I had to look around to figure out where I was going. That stuff drives me crazy.
Yeah.
When I have to, just if I don't have to think about the course at all, I'm usually pretty happy. But from the aesthetics, I like difficulty as far as shots that make you think. You know, I like water shots. I like tunnel shots. Most of the people who played my courses know I'm this way design. I like technical. I don't like that if I don't throw straight, I can get the same score as the person next to me who threw perfectly straight. But I do like the aesthetics. I like where I can, I automatically am forced, like, I need to bring my camera out and I need to take pictures of this. If I walk away from a course taking pictures, usually it's a pretty good course. Yeah. There are the exceptions. Sometimes I take pictures of really bad stuff that are on the course, but that's for a different thing. So I actually have two favorites. I have an international favorite and a U.S. favorite. Probably my favorite course that I've ever played internationally was, it was in southern England at Beaminster Farm. It's actually the first tournament I ever played, which is also called the Frostbreaker.
Okay.
But it was really neat. It's on a guy's private property, and when you walk through the course, you felt like you were in the countryside of Europe. I mean, it's just up and down hills. When you're on the top, you see all the old buildings. Kind of like a waterworks when you see the downtown, and it has that visual aesthetics. Well, it had that, but you saw the brick British buildings. Like, it looked like Europe. Yeah. And then, but one of my favorite memories of that probably stands out, and it's an aesthetic, was there's a hole there. I think it was called either Hypotenuse or Gulagong. They name their holes. Instead of hole number 1, 2, they have names. So that's the only reason I remember those names. But it was a 700-foot, give or take, down a hill, up a hill. Well, about halfway down on the bottom, or halfway down the hill, was sheep, wild sheep. And so the first time I threw it, I landed right in the middle of the sheep. And of course, I had no idea. You know, I've never played around sheep before, so I walked down there, and I'm walking really slow, thinking it's like a ram or something. Is it gonna like attack me? They didn't move whatsoever. And I played that course over the 3 years. I was there a few times, and those sheep were always there, and I always remember those sheep. And so that was an aesthetic, but the course was difficult and fun and gorgeous, and always wanted to go back. And then in the U.S., my favorite one is probably Sandy Point Resort, which is North Wisconsin. I go up there every Labor Day for the Northwoods Open. Mike Cousins owns it. It's one of the first private ranches of disc golf. It's a 27-hole course. The last couple holes play along this just beautiful lake, but the whole course is wooded. And then there's a couple little features on there, like they have an old rotted out, like old car that you have to throw over, and it's always fun because if you throw it low, you can go right through the back window into there. And they've got just a few a tree stump hole, which is ultimately like where Heritage. That's my homage to that for the tree stump hole, and it's just a gorgeous place. But one of the things I like about it with the aesthetics is, it's most courses, when you go to a course, they're a public course, and you're driving past playgrounds or multi-use stuff, and then you get to a park. But here, it's so excluded that the moment you pull in there, you know you're in the middle of nowhere. You're in the woods. You know, it's probably, I would imagine, a lot like the Beaver Creek, where it's in a private area. Like, you're driving through back roads to get to there. So those are a little bit elaborated, but it's kind of some of my favorite from there. Couple courses that I've played a lot of courses that I've wanted to play. One of the things I focus on as far as deciding on a course that I'd love to play, a bucket list course, is I'd probably like to go over and play, just totally blanked out the name, over in Europe. Oh man, I had this all prepped in my head too. I want to call it the Beast as well, but it's over, I think, over in Sweden over there. It's very popular amongst a lot of players, and I feel dumb now that I can't remember this. But I'd like to play a little bit more international courses. Okay. I'd like to go, I played De La, but I played it kind of quickly. I didn't really get to enjoy it, so I'd like to go to California and play De La Viega there. So it was a lot of fun to walk around. Maybe we can mark
that off next year, because I think that's probably my bucket list course.
Okay. So yeah, I was there.
Road trip.
I got to play Milam Guyver up in Oregon, you know, for those. The Beaver Creek course, I've heard a lot of good things about. I've actually, I wanted to hit it last year on my way to Vegas. Talked about hitting it, and just knowing it was going to take so long, such a long trip, we didn't. But that's a course that's on my list to play from there. So, what do you think? Where you want to get to?
Bucket list. I don't know. The Beast is always like, I always watch that footage. It looks awesome. Looks super hard. I want to play that one. And then La Mirada. Oh, that course just looks like beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like always maintained, and I always like wish I could play it because they're all, no matter what time of year, they're in shorts and a t-shirt.
Right.
Yeah, we have that problem now.
Yeah.
Well, not today, I guess. It's starting to get cold and rainy.
It's chilly out there. It dropped quick yesterday.
Yeah.
So De La Viega, that your bucket list? Any other place that you think you'd like to hit or something that sticks out?
There's a lot of little places I'd like to hit. I'd like to hit Big Cedar or whatever down there in Branson.
Yeah.
Just I hear a lot of things about it. I've never been down there. I don't think it's anywhere near like a top rated course. It's just someplace. To me, it's someplace too close to home I haven't played. You know.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about a Missouri course that's reasonably close to Kansas City. I haven't played. So.
Well, the nice thing about bucket lists is they're constantly changed. So.
Outside of that, I mean, I don't know. I never found one I didn't want to play. So. Just,
All right, so let's talk about ratings. Ratings is a pretty popular or unpopular discussion. Seems like every time they come out, you know, you'll hear people's opinions about why they stink, and then you'll hear from another person why they're awesome. So I just thought I'd take the opportunity on this podcast to kind of get our opinions ultimately on ratings, and I'll start with just I've dealt with them quite a bit, and so I love ratings. Ratings, I know, are something you take with a grain of salt. They change with each person, but they're really the only true indicator, especially for an AM, of where you stand, where you play. And I like ratings. And sometimes it takes a little while for ratings to catch up, which is why they're skewed. But for the most part, I've been a 940 rated player for the last 6 years. And it never fails. I can go out and shoot a 990 rated round, and then I will turn around and shoot an 890 rated round. And it seems like every single time I go to one of these big tournaments, I always come back to averaging that 940, which is why I've been 940 for 6 years. It just doesn't seem to ever change. And so that sells it to me that whether people want to believe it or not, I think they're fairly accurate. I know that, again, there's some things that change those things and discrepancies, but for the most part, I think that that's kind of, I think they're pretty accurate. Now, I think when you get to the pro players, you know, especially when you're 1,000 rated or higher, it probably really doesn't matter. I mean, nobody is judging you based on your rating as a pro player. When you look at the lead card, you see Paul and Eagle, even though they're a lot closer, ratings aren't even consideration. You know, even if it's a 1020 rated player on those lead cards, nobody's saying you have a 1040 and a 1020. It's just it's this person and this person. The ratings are irrelevant at that point. When they're looking at sponsors or promoted, you see things on SportsCenter, you know, or whatever. You don't hear them say, you know, you hear them say they're the #1 ranked player world, not 1040. And Ulibarri talked a little bit on Smashbox. I don't know if you guys ever saw that a few months back. And he kind of said a lot of the similar things, which I totally agreed with, at least from the open standpoint. So from the open, maybe rating, but I think once you're pro classified or below pro classified, I think those ratings really help. I find a lot of times that, you know, even when you're looking at your rec and intermediate, especially more maybe intermediate and advanced. Rec, a lot of times rec players are still up and coming, and they've got a lot of room to improve. So their ratings are going to jump. And it's getting better now that ratings come out approximately every 6 weeks. But before, when they used to come out every couple months, it would take a while. Like a person could go win, and a rec player could be shooting 940, 940, 940, but it takes a while for them to catch up. So they'll continue to play their rec or intermediate division because it hasn't caught up yet. I think that's changed a little bit now that they updated quicker. But so rec maybe a little bit can get a little bit skewed, but I still think you can look on a tournament by tournament basis. But other than that, I mean, I think especially intermediate advanced, I think they're pretty accurate for the most part. You know, so that's just kind of on rating itself. You guys got any thought on the ratings?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a good, like, when you're in the AM divisions, like it helps like decide, like it helps you make the decision whether I should play up or whether I should play down, or what division you think you should belong in. And like they're not always accurate. There's been times like I still don't feel like my ratings caught up yet, but it's like once you get over that like that like 1,000 rated, it really doesn't matter because it's honestly it's disc golf. It's gonna change. Like who's hot that weekend, and that's why there's a new winner essentially every weekend.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
For like the AM division, like I don't know, it's cool. You get a lot of sandbagging. I feel like if you have a really hot round, and like you'll instantly get called up. But I mean, it's just because like ratings, they stay on there for a year, I'm pretty sure. And I feel disc golf, there's such a fast learning curve in it. Like it perhaps shouldn't be a year, like maybe 6 months.
Well, I think sandbagging alone, that's probably maybe a separate question.
Oh,
but you know, I think that's such a term that's used so loosely. I mean, if someone, you could have a 900 rated person who shoots 1,000 rated, and everybody will attack him that he's a sandbagger.
Yeah.
But obviously, statistically, he's not shooting 1,000 rated. He's shooting 900 rated. That's why his average or his rating is 900.
Yeah.
You know, even if a person goes and wins a tournament, like say an intermediate person who's, say 905, just give him intermediate, and he wins his intermediate division by 10 strokes, he's automatically called a sandbagger and pushed to move up.
Yeah.
Even though he's still 30 points away from where that cutoff is,
Yeah.
and he may have just had the tournament of his life. Could home course, you were just dialed in. I've had tournaments like that to where I've gone through the Memorial in 2009. I remember I was 950 something rated. I won the Memorial in advance. I came back, played a local C tier in advance, and got second to last. You know, it's just I was hot in one and not in the other. But at the same time, when I looked at both those tournaments, I averaged approximately where my rating was. And but people use that word sandbagger of just attacking. I really hate that word because it makes people feel bad.
I feel like that word comes up the most when it's when you don't know the person. A lot of times you'll hear like GBO, oh, this guy's 929 rated or whatever, and he's playing this division or whatever. And the fact is that guy's rating was probably, in a lot of cases, it's determined off all local courses that the guy plays all the time. You know, and he's not going to come to Emporia and shoot 929 golf.
Yeah.
Because he's not used to those courses. He's never played those courses. Conditions are different. And so a lot of times guys will adjust their division based on fear. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's fear. It's, well, yeah, I'm 929 rated, but I'm 929 rated at home. I'm 929 rated on the courses I play all the time.
Yeah.
You know, a guy that's 860 rated can beat a 930 rated guy easy on his home course if he plays it all the time. I mean, there's a course here in Kansas City out in Pleasant Hill that I used to play 3 or 4 times a week, and I can shoot a 45 there. I'm 860 something rated. I mean, that's not an 860 something rated round.
Yeah.
But I know that course like the back of my hand, so it's a little different to go out there and shoot a 45. And I'm not saying I shoot a 45 there all the time. I'm saying, but I've done it. You know, but that doesn't by any means mean I'm sandbagging when I go out there and play intermediate, because that's my division. I'm in actually Rec's my division if you want to get technical.
Sure.
I don't necessarily. The rating numbers are, I mean, it's a broad range. So there's going to be a difference in caliber of player. But the fact is, usually anybody within that caliber of player has the capabilities of shooting the higher side or the lower side of those numbers. At least that's the way I feel about it. You know, so I don't think it's even possible to say your rating is skewed if you're an established player, because clearly it's not. Clearly that is the average of what you're shooting.
Right.
Now, if you're a new player, I'll give you an example. My son, you know, when he did finally join the PDGA, he doesn't play that many tournaments, so he goes out first tournament, shoots pretty hot. He comes back, he's like, I'm 880 rated. I'm higher than you. Right, you've beat me never on a course. Now he has now, but at the time, he had never beat me on a course, ever. And I'm like, you're 880 rated based on, 4 or 5 rounds where you had, good rounds, but I'm 860 rated based on 4 years,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that can be a little skewed until you become established. But, I mean, that could hurt a guy as much as it could help a guy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially if he goes out and right off the bat, he's just hot. And then reality catches up to him. And, I mean, so I don't know. I take ratings with a grain of salt.
Well, let me ask you, I'm going to ask you a question here that was not on our list that has to do with rating. So you may not be prepared for this question. And if you need a second to think about it, it's fine. But what do you think about 1,000 rated AM who's playing Worlds, Bowling Green, GBO. They're eligible. They have not accepted cash. They're 1,000 rated, 970 rated. They're well outside the realm, but they're legally allowed to based on PDGA rules.
The fact is, when it's all said and done, you said it, they're allowed to.
Yeah.
And really, until that guy probably has a bucket list of his own. He probably has accomplishments he's trying to hit. And I would go as far as to say when he wins AM Worlds or he wins Bowling Green or whatever, then he's ready to take the next step. Or maybe he knows that the odds are good. He's never going, very many places in pro. He's not going to be able to travel a lot, things like that, and so he chooses to stay there. I don't know why people do it, but the fact is, on the sandbagger status at least, I don't think you have a right to say anything because the PDGA allows it.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to say the PDGA is skewed in that aspect a little bit, I could see the argument there. I'm not going to argue for it, but I feel personally that this conversation comes up every single year, especially at AM Worlds, and I feel like every year the outcome's the same. That guy wants to win it, and when he wins it, he's done doing that.
Right.
So let him go out, let him win it, let him move up to the next level.
What's your thought on that?
I'm not a fan of that. If I'm playing a 970 or like 1,000 rated AM in advance, I'm gonna be pissed about that. But I don't know. I feel like once you reach like a certain rating, like in advance, like you should probably move up, even if it's not like the 970 classified pro. Like you're going I don't know. For me, I had to move up before I was 970 just because I wasn't getting better playing with advanced. I was able just to goof off and not totally play my best and still do pretty well. So it's playing better made me a better player. So I don't want to say it says something about his character, but
I feel like you kind of contradicted yourself just now. So you get upset if a 970 to 1,000 rated AM is in your division, but you're saying that basically that you don't have to try when the guys in your division aren't 970 to 1,000 rated.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, if those guys are in your division, then at least they're making you play your best.
Yeah.
They're challenging you to play your best golf. Versus, where does your game go if you don't have to play your best golf?
Yeah, I see.
Those guys have to help you advance. And me, I guess that a lot of that I think comes down to the kind of person you are. I'll play Paul Macbeth. I'm gonna get my butt kicked, but
Right.
I guarantee you, playing Paul Macbeth is gonna make me better, and it's gonna make me try a lot harder.
Oh yeah.
The worst thing for a golfer, in my opinion, is just what you said. And it used to happen to me a lot in rec. My rating says I can play rec, but I can go out and if you look at the scores after any tournament, I beat the rec field. And I'm like, that's why I don't play rec, because when I do play rec or when I play with players that are of a lower caliber, I play at a lower caliber.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that's your mindset. Oh, well, I'm winning.
Yeah.
So it's okay that I just shot a 5 on the last hole because I'm winning.
Yeah.
When the reality is it's not okay as a golfer that you just shot 5 on that last hole if your goal was to shoot 3 on that last hole. And that's why when you go out to a course, in my opinion, you should always challenge yourself in the course, not the players on your card. I can walk off a course shooting 10 over, and I might have lost by 7 strokes, but if I know, for me, I feel good about the way I shot, that usually is good enough for me.
For me, it's 1,000 rated AM is more about when I'm trying to think about it from their perspective, it's more what do they want. And between you two, honestly, I probably am going to lean more towards Derek's response, but only because I guess I've seen it. I think everybody deserves the opportunity to win that large tournament. I think there's a lot of people who accept cash without that opportunity, but your goals are different. Your goal was to play open and to be on tour or to play the best and be there. That was probably, I would guess, more important to you than winning an AM Worlds.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people, I think everybody deserves that opportunity to win an AM Worlds, to win a major like Bowling Green and GBO. Sometimes people just don't care about winning money. It's not about, they don't want to be a pro. They are an amateur. They want to play amateur. They have no interest in playing for money, and that's their choice. And one of the nice things about, to me, this game is we all have our own reasons of why we play this game, and it's still for fun. But I also find that 970 or 1000 rated AM typically is not playing advanced at their local C or B tier. They're a lot of times playing open. If they want the ability to play a Worlds, they're probably turning down cash by playing open. So most of the time, I'm not saying they're all that way, but I would say the majority that I've seen talking about on these big events, the players, they've been turning down cash for years, or a year, or a lot of money, because that's what it means to them to win that major. It's not about going in there and just whipping up on everybody because they can. It's because they're trying to accomplish something. So that, again, I think that's that goal. If you have a goal of just, I want to be Paul Macbeth, or I want to be the best, I want to go on tour, majors and stuff don't mean anything, then absolutely, then keep moving forward. I agree, you're going to get better by playing with better players. Again, a lot of the times those players, they are 1000 rated because they are playing with better players the majority of the time. Just come the major, they want that opportunity. I personally don't have a problem with it. If they have the goal, even if they don't win a Worlds and they want to do it a few times. I know there's been a few people at Bowling Green who've been on league cards, Final Nines for a few years in a row, because they're always trying to, they want that win, and they're sacrificing their year by turning down more cash in order to do that. So it's kind of my thought. It's a conversation I've heard a lot, and as we've been talking about ratings, it just popped into my head.
I can't say that I can't think of a tournament I've ever gone into where I looked at the ratings of the guys I was playing.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I look at it as a general, and it's more for, I'm looking at who do I know, and if I don't know them, then I'm probably looking more at rating. I mean, I know the people that are local. I know what my competition level is.
Part of your preparation,
yeah,
just knowing what you're going in, I guess.
Yeah.
See, my feeling is you're playing those people either way, and I think looking at those ratings, it can only psych you out. Yeah. I think it messes with your mental game. You look at it and you're like, oh man, I'm 860, that guy's 905. I'm not going to win this thing. And that's, you don't want to go in with that attitude.
See, and I don't think I have that mentality. I don't think I look at a rating at 940 if I'm going into a Masters tournament and I'm playing against Dixon Jowers, or I'm playing against Eric McCabe. Probably going to get my butt kicked, but I don't go into the tournament saying, oh, I'm playing them, I'm going to get my butt kicked. If anything, in that case, I'm more excited the fact that I'm going to get to play with them. I've been playing long enough that I don't go into any tournament with the thought that I'm going to lose, including a major tournament. But I don't always have the mentality that I am going to win either. I just go in saying I want to play the best that I can.
I think you probably set expectations for yourself, though, right?
Well, I set my expectations once I'm on the course. I still like to play the course. And my philosophy is if I play the course well, and again, I like to use that rating. If I can go play a course and I shoot my rating 940 and I shoot 970 average, say this is an example of a course of a couple rounds, and I get dead last, I'm going to be okay. I still shot better than what I traditionally shoot. So I look at what my field is, but really when it comes to the competition, I care about what I shoot and how I shoot it.
See, I don't think I ever go in. I don't think I ever go in and go, you know what? If I shoot over my rating, I'm happy. I go in and I look hole by hole, and I look back at what I did and say, okay, you know, this is what I have the capability of shooting here, you know. And I mean, I'm not. It may be 840 on some courses, and you know, but I could walk out of a course shooting 840 if I feel like I played that course to the best of my ability, and it was 840.
But I think it's a good indicator, though, whether or not you shot well. I've walked off courses shooting 970 and just walking away like, oh my Lord, I cannot believe I shot this bad. I shot a 970. Okay, whatever, you know. But I look at the field, I did the math. But then I've gone off courses. How'd you shoot? And I'm like, you know, I shot whatever, and next thing I know it was like 900. And I'm like, really? It's like I missed like one putt in the circle. I hit all my, you know, I'll feel like I did everything. But you know, and that's where sometimes
I think you're always personally harder on yourself, right? Anyway.
So I use the rating to at least give me a general idea on average, did I shoot better? And taking that emotion and feeling out of how I felt I shot. Because a lot of times, I mean, I've said in the last podcast, I think most people walk away from a course not feeling like they shot what they could shoot. You know,
I think the last time I actually got to play Chill to Hill when I wasn't fully TDing it, I remember after the first round, and this is it's a course I'd played 3 or 4 times a week, and I had high expectations going in. First round, it poured rain, and I remember walking in after the first round, and my wife had showed up in between rounds. We were going to eat some lunch or something, and she said, "How'd you shoot?" And I was like, I cannot believe as prepared as I was for this and everything else, I cannot believe how bad I shot. I was so mad. And I was sitting in first place. And I was like a 908 rated round or something. And I was so angry because I know what I'm capable of shooting out there. And yeah, it was raining and stuff, but I had this expectation for myself. And so even though it was 908 and I was sitting in first place, the expectation that I had was so much higher. In the last one of the last tournaments I played last year was the same way. I prepped myself and prepped myself and prepped myself for Raymore. And I felt like I tanked it. And my rating didn't say I tanked it. My rating said you shot your rating. Or it was actually a little higher. I think I shot like 870. But in practice rounds out there, I bet I shot 920. I had such expectations, and it was like, I just tanked it.
All right. I think we beat that one for a little bit. So, all right.
No, now it's just weighing on our mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's about 2 or 3 more things that popped in. And ratings is one of those things that I'm sure we'll talk about over, in multiple times, especially with different guests, because everybody has different opinions on it. But it's something that almost all disc golfers love to hate. It's a conversation every 6 weeks when the ratings come out. So, but something we haven't talked about in a while are new discs. So me, Derek, and Dallas got the opportunity to go to Emporia yesterday and get to test these a little bit. So hopefully, like I said, I'll have some video of me and Derek posting here, and hopefully it's playing right now when you guys watch this. So, but Dallas wasn't with us when he went there. He decided to go his own way. Also, he wasn't invited to come with us, so he was forced to go his own way. I didn't think about inviting you.
I did not invite him.
I didn't mention to Derek. I was like, I should invite Dallas so he could be on this video. And then after we realized we forgot, we knew you were going, so we're like, we should contact Danny to film you so I can get that footage. And
I was thinking about filming it, but like, I don't have that much space on my phone.
So, all right, as you guys can see up here in the front, there's 6 new discs for 2019, 1 West Side, 3 Latitude.
There you go, Vanna.
There you go, Vanna. And 2 DDs. And we're just going to kind of give you our opinions on them from there. And I'm going to do a review on these discs. At least that's my goal to do it. But we'll start here with the Guard. The Guard is a dynamic disc putter. It's basically the way it's described to me as a dagger with no bead. I know you guys probably can't, I don't know how well I'm going to zoom in here and you can see that. But it's basically a dagger with no bead. The few times that I threw it, it stayed fairly straight. Maybe a slight understable right-hand, backhand throws. But yeah, it stayed pretty straight. The few times that I putted with it, it dropped. For me, my style of putting, it drops. So it didn't quite have the glide to me that even like I used to putt with daggers. And one of the reasons I liked daggers was from a long-range putts is I could get them to glide for ways. This one, when we putted on it yesterday, I felt like it was kind of more, like the weight just kind of fell out from underneath it. So, did you get a chance to play with this?
Yeah, I was throwing this around. It is a beadless dagger, and it feels pretty good in the hand. It's a deep dish if you prefer that. But throwing it, I would say it's like pretty stable. Like I was able to like it was like a 15 mile per hour headwind, and I was able just to drop it on hyzer and flip up to flat and just go straight. Didn't have a lot of glide. That's what I noticed. It would just drop out of the arrow. It still has glide, but like not as much as like a dagger, I would say.
Yep, and you threw it to flip it up, and you got it to go straight. I threw it straight and got a slight right turn to it. Derek is not a putter thrower, so he can abstain from answering and talking about the putters if he wants to.
Yeah, I don't. I throw everything very flat. So, and I overpower putters, so a putter tends to come out of my hand and just kind of. And so, yeah, I rolled this bad boy.
Yeah, for Derek, he was flipping the putters over.
But I knew going in. I'm not a putter thrower. If I have to throw that kind of a shot, I throw a beat up suspect or something like that. It just feels better in my hand. I can put something on it. But putting wise, I had the same feeling. It is deep. It does feel like a dagger. I have smaller hands. I don't love the deeper putter anyway.
I didn't even notice that classic hard.
This is hard and
this is blend,
or medium. Yeah, I noticed that yesterday. So it actually reminded me of putting with not the feel of it, but the flight of it reminded me of putting with a Mercy. I always called a Mercy dead weight. Like every time I ever putted with a Mercy, I felt like the thing just wanted to just drop, you know. And so when I putted with a Guard, I felt the same way, you know. It didn't have. You gotta put something into your putts. You know, if you're one of those guys that puts something into your putt, I think you're gonna like it. But if you're softer on your putts or lofty on your putts, this thing wants to just drop.
And I'm a fairly hard putter. And one of the things I noticed with that versus like when we talk about the Keystone is it drops, but even if you went right or left, it didn't blow by because it had that weight.
Yeah.
So I think the value there, depending on the kind of putter a person is whether you aim higher, you got to figure out a little bit more spin,
angle,
or
the kind of angle you put at,
get the drop in. But if you are putting in a headwind like we were yesterday, it's not going to lift. And at least it didn't lift for us yesterday as much.
Yeah.
So
versus the Keystone, which was kind of polar opposite.
So next one we looked at was Latitude Keystone. This one is particular prototype is in their medium plastic. It's kind of a less stable Deputy. When I drove with it, it flipped. And again, I'm powering it pretty hard. I didn't try too much at throwing it at a slower speed. It was about a 15-mile headwind when we played with it. But when I putted with it, I putted pretty well with this one into the wind. The few times I did miss, though, a lot of times I missed, it glided. It got some carry, which is good, but not good when you're missing putts. But the putts that I made were solid. I mean, it went in just like I want them to. I liked them for driving a little less stable, but I think for a slower arm, I think someone who's throwing slower, the Deputy is a little bit too straight for you. You want a little bit more right turn. I think that's where the Keystone's going to come in handy.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a super popular one. It feels good in the hand. It's a shallower rim. And it's almost like, to me, it feels like a mix between like a Warden and a Deputy, in my opinion. Was a little flippy. I was throwing it on hyzer flips, even in the tailwind. Oh, just a little hyzer and flip up and just glide and then turn a little bit. But putting wise, I liked it. If I miss, I tend to miss to right though. In the headwind, it was pretty strong out there. Feels good, clean release though. That's what I liked about it. It's beadless. I'm a bead guy, so for me to say that, it felt good.
I'm a bead guy too.
Yeah.
Obviously throwing it, I had the same issues. I don't throw them good in the first place, like I said, so it wants to dump on me. But putting, I actually even backed up and did some longer putts because I use Pures for like longer jump putts and things like that. And which is ironic. When I'm actually putting in the circle and stuff, I use crowns. But when I'm doing longer putts and stuff, the Pure for me has been the best option. The Deputy seemed like it wanted to turn just a little too much.
And I use a Deputy now for jump putts or long putts outside the circle.
This to me had I almost felt like they took the Deputy, sanded the bead off, but it is a little less stable. It's got glide.
Yeah. No
doubt. On the longer putts, the wind didn't definitely want to catch it. We were putting into a slight headwind and it'd push up. I don't know what videos will all be shown, but you'll see me hitting the band or popping off the top, I believe, a couple times. And like you, if I missed, I did miss to the right. But I think I'm with you. I think this putter is going to be extremely popular because there is a lot of Deputy and Pure lovers out there. There's I think there's a lot of ladies, kids, people like that can really get a lot of use out of this putter. So this one excites me a little bit.
Yeah. I should have saved this one for last. This was probably my favorite disc. This is the Gatekeeper by Westside in the VIP plastic. It was a lot like a beat-up Verdict. It was described to me as between a Verdict and an EMAC Truth. I've got a couple bio Verdicts that just stay dead straight. Even into the wind, I'm powering. I threw this at pretty much full power. It did not even consider flipping up right, but it did not fade out left really hard either. But it faded out left enough. I was able to get some good power on this. I really liked it. And where I feel like this might save is I love my Verdicts, especially the bio Verdicts. But I have one beat up one at the moment, and I am scared to death when I lose that. What am I going to do? because I was like, I don't really have another Verdict that's in that phase yet. And I think that's where this is going to come in. Like I said, I really like this. I was able to crank it. There should be some video with this one, but I am super excited about that one. At all 6, that's probably my favorite.
Okay, yeah. So I'm super excited about this one too. I think it might make the bag. I'm not sure. It'd have to beat out the Pines, which I don't want it to happen, but it is a possibility. Yeah, so like I was able to crank on this pretty much like as hard as I throw mid into the headwind, and it would just hold dead straight. It had good glide on it, not like too much like an EMAC I felt like, but like more of like a Pine glide. Mm-hmm. It would just like go straight, and then it wouldn't turn at all. And then like just that nice fade at that. Not a whole lot, just kind of like dumps out of this air. The only time I really got it to move right was if it was like a left or right tailwind, and I threw it on a little Annie, and it just rode that wind and then just faded out at the end. It was.
Yeah. And the one time I threw it on Annie, it still came out nicely. It held the right for a little bit, but it still faded out nice.
Yeah, so, I think this has potential to make a lot of people's bags, especially if they don't like throwing Pines or something, but want something more stable than an EMAC. I think. Derek?
I don't have a lot to say about it. I threw this very poorly. This came out of my hand and flipped over right off the bat. And I'm pretty sure it's user error and the way I threw it into the wind, but I didn't enjoy a second of it. But again, like I said, I don't think I threw it well, so any review I would give on it would be very unhelpful to anybody watching. So
note to self: Derek will not be reviewing the Gatekeeper.
I might. No, I want to get it in my hand again. It's weird because in my hand it reminds me of a Fugitive feel.
Okay.
For some reason, but I'm a big Verdict thrower, and I can tell you right now, this disc could be gold, and I'm not even giving it a second thought. So you couldn't pull a Verdict out of my bag if your life depended on it. So.
Do we have like what the numbers are going to be for that yet? Or?
We do.
I'll
say yeah. I have it on the video.
Quickly.
All right, Derek's looking up those numbers.
So the Gatekeeper, I believe, is listed as 55.52 is what I was told. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's not meant to turn.
Yeah.
Clearly, I had some user error in there because I was like, I threw it and it started moving right, and I'm like, what just happened here?
Yeah. I'll say those are pretty accurate numbers.
Yeah, I think so. So, all right. Next, the Dynamic Disc Vandal. The Vandal, little rounded rim here. I liked it. It's not quite probably my style of disc. It's, I felt even a hair less stable than the Maverick. I like the Maverick a lot. I've been throwing it a lot. I can throw it with a little bit of hyzer. It will stand up. It'll slightly go right. It'll finish out with a good fade at the end. If I throw it flat, it'll turn over the way I want to. If I put a lot of hyzer, it'll stay straight, especially if I throw it slower. I didn't put that much testing into it, but the few times that I did throw it, I crushed this disc. I got it to fly, but in that 15-mile-an-hour wind, it was turning right.
You dropped a couple rollers with that too.
Yeah, and I was rolling with this one too, just for fun and seeing what it would do, and it did fine. Not long, but it stayed pretty straight. At least the one time I did it. But I did like
one
it.
Of those rollers up out of the woods, so
yeah.
It's
probably not quite for me, but it's, I think, going to be a good beginner disc. Like I said, someone who just needs that one step, I think, away from the Maverick.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was throwing this, it had a lot of glide. That was, like, one thing I would say about this. If I threw it, like, 5 feet off the ground, it stayed 5 feet off the ground.
And it carried for days.
Oh, yeah. But, like, it has a lot of turn, I felt like. Even in the tailwind, I'll get it to turn and stuff. It'd be great for woods. I could see if, like, you don't have a forehand, but it's really wooded, and you just want something you can pump pretty, like, 80%, and it'll just flip up and just keep working right.
Right.
I would say that's what this would be for. I didn't throw it a whole lot on rollers, just because I don't like a whole lot of glide on my disc, just because, like, I'm not that good at them, so they tend to glide out on me. But I could see this being a good roller, and especially for beginners. I think this is going to be super popular.
It was a good short roller. I don't know that I could have got a ton of distance. I don't know. How long is that hole out there, you think, on that field?
I thought it was like 350 or something.
Yeah, 350.
Okay, and I was probably about 40 short.
Yeah, and then I was throwing.
But that first one you threw actually was longer than the basket. It
just was off to the right.
Yeah, and then I threw out in that big field out there too.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I mean, I think beginners, like especially if like the escape's too much, the Maverick's too slow. If they want something faster, I think they'll like those.
Yeah, the numbers I show on this are 9.5, -1.5, 2. And while I'm not a beginner, I actually see this working for rec up into intermediate.
Slower arm.
Yeah, slower arms.
Yep.
Older players whose arms are slowing down, or maybe never, they're newer and their arm never got there. Yeah, you can hyzer flip it up and it'll ride straight and take just a little turn. I thought the turn was reliable. I didn't think it was like an unpredictable turn.
No.
It actually reminds me of its flight reminds me of a seer.
Okay.
And I personally love the seer.
Yeah. I've actually never done a seer. So,
but with the seer, I can tend to start it on a hyzer. It'll flip up and it'll just make a general right turn. And I don't forehand, so for me, a seer is my it's my go-to turnover disc for making those big turns. Yeah. And so this fell right in that spot. I think this is going to be pretty popular, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel like it's far off the Maverick, but it definitely turns more than the Maverick.
Yeah, a little bit faster, a little bit more turn.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I got it to come back. The couple of times, even when I did turn it over, it always came back. I mean, depending on how I threw it, how long it took to come back.
I know. I've heard a lot of people say the Maverick is... You've got to have it just right. And it may be that they're slightly overpowering it, so maybe this being a little faster will be more to their liking. But that one, I mean, it was a decent disc. I like
One thing I noticed about it is, like, whenever it did turn, and, like, if I put a good pump on it, it would never turn and burn.
Right.
It would glide out and then, like, fade out the...
Yeah, I think that fade at the end helps it just kind of pan out more than dump.
Yeah.
All right, so the fifth one is the Latitude 64 Pioneer. This was a shorter range, pretty overstable, Felon-like. I'm trying to remember specifically. I like the next disc so much more that I didn't focus on this one as much. But I feel like this dropped pretty fast, or hyzered out faded out pretty fast. So maybe like a Felon with a little less glide. I don't know that I have a real good it's Felonish. I also know that I was getting it to about 300 with my full power. It was finishing pretty hard. I put it on an Annie in that 15-hour wind. It still would fade out. One of the things I didn't notice about it as much yesterday as I am today, but this thing is flat.
Oh yeah.
And that's something I personally don't pay attention to, is flat versus domey. That doesn't make much difference for my throwing style, but this one is flat for those who like flat.
Yeah, so this was my favorite one. This is probably going to make the bag. My best comparison would be in between an Audi and a Felon. That's where I'd rank it. It's more stable than a Felon, not Audi stable. But yeah, I loved flicking this. I could throw it on an Annie into the headwind and it would flex back. It was great for spike hyzers and just like everything. Like every time I threw it, it faded hard. And yeah, I think I'll probably keep a Felon in the bag just to have that, just so I can get turn and some glide. But I'll probably be bagging a couple of these.
So shockingly, for an 860 guy, this was my favorite disc also. I knew what it was going to do every time. I threw it 3 or 4 times, and obviously it turned left. But when I threw it, it was so perfectly reliable. Like, you knew exactly how it was going to fly and how it was going to go. And it would come down. It didn't take massive flare or anything. It just came down. It hit. Little pop, landed. And I loved it. I knew, like you said, for spike hyzers, or for me, I can crank on it flat and get, probably 260, 270 for me because I can't throw as far. But I knew exactly what it was going to do. And I actually love this. I wish I would have forehanded it a little bit because I don't forehand well. I tend to wrist roll. But some things, if they're stable enough, they will fight out of that. But in the wind yesterday and stuff, it would have been a waste of my time to try forehanding it. But Yeah, this one excites me. This one I can see finding a place in my bag for sure. Right now I carry a Fortress,
Okay.
but it's not. It's kind of a love-hate relationship. So, but no, I love this. I'm super excited about this. So,
all right. So our last disc, the Latitude Recoil. I said the Gatekeeper was my favorite. It was, but only because I had to choose a favorite. This one was right up there with it. I really like this disc. This disc was told to me it has the flight characteristics of like a Trespass Enforcer, and I agree with it. I could pump it. It was the disc I was throwing closest to the basket, enough that Danny, when he was filming, was talking about, he hadn't seen an ace there yet because I was running the basket. But it was something I could crank. A Trespass I can turn over, and this I was not turning over, but it was not fading out really hard. It was fading out hard at the end, like an Enforcer would, but I was able to crank on and get it straight for a long time. And I think that's what I really liked about this was I could give it that Trespass glide or flight, but with that Enforcer finish.
Yeah.
I was not worried about in that 15-mile-an-hour winds. And I did test all this once on a pretty decent Annie, and it held the line the way I held it, and then it finished out hard. I really like this disc. This disc is a very good chance that it's going to make my bag.
Yeah, so the recoil goes far. That's what I can say.
Shockingly, its glide numbers aren't that good.
That's one thing I noticed. I wouldn't give it like a glide 5 or 6. I would say like 4.
It's a 4,
yeah. But it does go far. When I was throwing it, I was able to get past the basket. I was hyzer flipping it. It has some turn on it. High speed turn, it's there. And that's why it's able to go so far. And I think it helps with the turn helps with the understable glide that exists somehow. But headwind, it was able to handle it. I just dropped it on a slight hyzer just because that's how I throw for some reason. And it would flip up to flat and then just hold straight. If I really powered up on it, it would turn right into the headwind and then always finish. So I think the Enforcer Trespass comparison is a really good one. And then we had a right to left wind. It was right to left pretty much. I was throwing this like 450, and it would flip up to flat and want to turn, but with the wind, it wouldn't let it, and it just rode dead straight, and then a nice fade at the end, and yeah.
Can't even walk 450.
I can't even walk at this.
This thing goes super far for me.
I threw it just 450. I'd be like, just leave it there. It's not worth going to get.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for someone, if you're like in between like Enforcer, Trespass, Defender's too fast, I think this will be the one because it feels comfortable in the hand.
Well, I said I was ace running the basket, and that's at 350.
Yeah.
And that was taking, I wouldn't say 100% because cold, but it took a lot I have. So even get to 400, I'd be pretty happy. But
I don't know if I'm going to say it's got a spot in my bag or anything, because for me, this is going to have to be out in 2 or 3 plastics before I probably replace anything that's in my bag. But this will be a very popular disc.
Oh, yeah. And
especially for the Latitude line, because I don't feel like there's anything in the Latitude line that is this disc, is like this,
Yeah.
I agree. It's
I don't know that in any of the 3 lines that stays straight that long.
It's yeah, but I've always felt like Latitude's probably got some of the less popular drivers in their lineup right now, which is ironic given they have more of them. And I know a lot of that's just a lot of people want to try new stuff as it's coming out and stuff, but this disc I think is going to go a lot of people's bags this year.
Oh yeah.
This is, I mean, of all these, I think this one makes the most bags, which is saying a lot because I think some of those are really good molds. But I think it fell right between a Trespass and an Enforcer. It's more than a Trespass, less than an Enforcer, obviously, but it's like you said, obviously for me it wasn't going 450, not even internet distance 450, but it's it would go up and turn left at the end for me, and I didn't have to worry about turning it over or anything like that, and it handled the headwind just fine for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, my arm doesn't compare to yours, so a disc like this is probably a headwind disc for me.
Yeah.
It's a disc I could see myself carrying just for headwinds. So, I've thrown Trespasses and bagged Trespasses for a while, and I could definitely see this being right up there in that category. So.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So I think overall it's a good lineup. I think it's a good start. I think that's the 2019 releases. I know they have the Raider that's coming out later in the year, and they have the Trilogy Challenge lineup that comes out here in the next few, or I guess probably April-ish or May when Trilogy Challenges start. But I think it's a good lineup. So
yeah, definitely. I feel like they filled some gaps that definitely weren't there.
Sure.
You know?
So your favorite was the Pioneer?
Oh yeah.
Pioneer. And for me it was the Gatekeeper. So those are said what we thought, and so but all right guys, well I'm gonna shut this down and conclude it. I want to thank Derek for being a part of episode 2, Dallas for being part of 2. Let's wish him a farewell going back to college. So you're leaving on Sunday, right?
Yep.
So hopefully be back this summer and maybe get you back on.
Oh yeah.
So but good luck when touring stuff starts.
Thank you.
Yeah. For everybody out there, thank you for watching. If you have a comment on anything that we've talked about, you liked, you disliked, feel free to comment. Whether it's on our Facebook page or whether it's on this YouTube channel, feel free to comment. Like, share, subscribe. Other than that, everybody have a safe day, and we'll catch you next time for episode 3.